Now, welcome once again. Now we will dive into technical section with Professor Sugandha Singh, Dean Faculty of Engineering and Technology at SGT University, Gurugram, on the impact of pedagogies and project-based learning. Please welcome, ma'am. Now, over to Dr. Sugandha.
I have to stand here. Mic
Mic hand.
fine. Um, Once again, it's good noon to everyone. I started with morning and now I'm speaking in noon. So the baseline which we talked about, that why it is needed, the baseline, am I audible? The baseline which we talked about, that why it is needed, that I suppose it is understood to everybody, and most of you would have been very well acquainted with that what is the need of it. We need to compete because earlier when we started up, it was like you want to have a comfortable life, enter into the education. Now it has flipped it over. It's not like this. One day I was talking to one of my friend as well, who is working into corporate. He was mentioning about life is very hectic to our side. Education is a comfortable field. I would have also entered into the education. Then my just one argument went with him is, in whatever he is into that general states. I said, your work is into the management, right? And presently you are the vice president there. What is your job? You look into the things that whether the manufacturing is happening with the quality testing at the appropriate level at the right numbers. This is the bottom line. In the education, if we talk about, our main field is teaching. But in addition to teaching, thanks to this accreditation and ranking, no doubt it has enhanced our level of teaching. But in addition to that teaching, we are to work upon, no doubt, to understand what the accreditation requirements are. Their paperwork is there. In addition to that, we are to go with the research part, which is our own requirement. Because I'm all hardcore believer of कि आप जो पढ़ोगे आप वही बोलोगे. Every time you don't have to prepare that what to speak. If you are a well-read person, you will speak anywhere at any point on any topic, right? But you need to be well-read on it. So it is much difficult nowadays to cope up with the education field, to cope up with the generation in comparison to the corporate, right? And now, what is our main field is teaching. Now the need of our is the change in the teaching strategies as well, right? When we started it up, our career at that time, we used to teach on the blackboard or so, right? After that, a transition came that we had to use the PPTs. There was a lot of unrest in the faculty members at that time. That why to make the PPTs, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, from where to gather the data. We are wasting a lot of time, but slowly, steadily, we got acquainted with that. Now PPT has obsolete because with the intention with which it started, it has not been taken care of. I'll go with the BBC sir, the way he mentioned. Most of, I don't say everybody, but people who are mostly in the comfortable zone, they prepare their PPTs and what else is written there, they'll read it up and the topic is over. But there are many faculty members who work on PPT as well. But 80-20 rule doesn't work everywhere. So because of that, now that intent has been obsolete, therefore new methodologies are required. And to cope up with the generation who is not looking for the comfort level which was us, the generation who is looking for the basic level, which for them AC is the basic requirement. For us, AC was not the basic requirement, right? So the teaching strategies have been changed. On that basis, I'll be talking it up today. Somebody's dealing with the presentation? So we'll be talking on the objective of to explore various teaching methodologies with the focus on project-based learning. Now, what the project-based learning, my title was the P2BL. P2 stands for one is the problem and one is the project. Problem-based and project-based. Now, as I mentioned upon, that why outcome is needed, why we need to tell to the candidate that outcome-based education, what is the outcome for this subject? Why do they need to read it? What is the baseline for that? So that comes out to be one thing is a project. For few things, it comes out to be the problem-based. Reason behind our candidates, they are very well aware because kahin se bhi padh ke they can come out to be, they are get acquainted with and get comfortable with whatever the subjects has to be read by them. But how it has to be applied, the moment you talk to the candidate regarding, if I talk about, mechanical engineers, they are aware of how to use the 3D printing, right? They are aware of how to go ahead with MATLAB. But the moment they enter into the automobile industry, the moment they enter into aerodynamics industry, the same time unke haath pav phul jayenge because they do not know how to link it up. To cover up that problem, we have entered into the project-based learning, wherein a project is given. Project doesn't mean that it has to be very big. A basic project is given to the candidate, how a electric bicycle has to be prepared, how it has to be manufactured. Now, in how it has to be manufactured, the candidate has to go through all the concepts of how the wheel has to be prepared, how many cycles are required into that, what is the length for that bicycle, what is the trigonometry involved into that, what is the design of it, and how much fabrication is required. All these concepts are included into the one project. So that time of when we talk about that laboratory shall have 1 to 12 practicals, we have included into one statement, which we name it as an aim now. We have included into one statement, all those 12 practicals are to be included into that. Right? Now, when all those practicals are to be included into that, so we need to bifurcate the system. classroom has to go along only with the one student, right? It is like, what is your understanding? You come forward, explain it up. But the more responsibility is on the teacher at the time of taking the time student is speaking or a group is speaking. At that time, you take the notes, what it is listed. At the end of a class, you need to explain exactly what it is the need, right? Now, using all these strategies, what is the maximum challenge you will realize? What do you feel like? सबसे ज़्यादा challenge हमारे पास क्या आ सकता है? Think on the area wise as per your students and the parents of the students. What would be the challenge which you feel if we implement this? Think. Think as per your university, the vicinity of your university and the placement of your university when you are implementing it. What could be the challenges? First thing is you get very raw students, right? This is a problem all around. We get very raw students. Wherein education, maybe they are the first people who are getting the education or the second generation who is getting the education. Right? So first thing will come out to be, ये तो पढ़ाते ही नहीं है, video share कर देंगे. Yes, because their expectation is teacher shall come, give the notes, teach them well और चला जाए. बच्चे को समझ आया नहीं आया, ना तो बच्चे को मतलब है, ना ही parents को मतलब है. Correct? So the moment you will implement all these, the first problem which you will face is कि पढ़ाना इन्होंने है नहीं, वीडियोस ही शेयर करने हैं, वीडियोस तो हम ही दिखा देंगे. यूनिवर्सिटी में हमने एडमिशन क्यों? Yes or no? So what is the alternative? Shall we compromise on it? Shall we compromise? Yes? No. Shall we compromise? कुछ तो बोलो. We shall not, because if we won't change now, we need to change after few months or maybe a year, or we'll obsolete ourselves. There is no doubt. So change is needed. Bangladesh was and why unrest came. There are the 4 problem statements in it. Right? So these 4 problem statements, this comes out to be the problem-based learning. For problem-based learning, when we talk upon this like case studies, discussions, these all are one thing, right? Irrespective of a field, it will be implemented. But problem-based learning and project-based learning, it varies from vertical to vertical. For the health sciences implementation, the process would be different. For the engineering, process would be different. For Ayurveda, process would be different, right? And if I'll say the education or a special education, their process would be different. For engineering, as I told about, that for problem-based learning, you give a problem, they'll understand it, they'll bifurcate it, they'll do a literature survey, then they'll finalize what would be the outcomes, then they will work upon it, and finally the results and the analysis. When the same thing is implemented on Ayurveda or a health sciences or a medical sciences, for them, database is the baseline. Literature survey is the first thing. Any of a problem is there, then first thing is the literature survey. Then anything else comes into the picture. Right? When we come upon the education system wherein, special children are there, for special children, it is totally the product has to be given to them, then it comes down the line. So problem-based learning, we cannot define upon these are the 6 steps and you have to follow that blindly. No, it varies from vertical to vertical. So you need to be very, very wise upon implementing it. Right? Next comes your collaboration and the communication. It's the project-based learning. Can you come to the previous slide, please? Active learning. Active learning. Yeah. Then comes your about this. I'll talk upon problem-based. I have this exploratory learning, wherein the inquiry is given to the candidate, the question is given to the candidate. So in Karaks, I'll talk upon active learning is basically stimulating the student with the specific and right question. Right? You cannot give a solution to them if I want to ask upon how the name IEEE 802 came. I told them that this is IEEE 802.3 and IEEE 802.6. These are the topologies. These are to be used into the. What is IEEE 802? Why that name is given? What is required? One way is I'm telling them. Other way is I'm making them more inquisitive. Why it is there? I can tell them in one go that it is established in February 1980. So 80 and 2 stands for 802. This is very simple to be told. But yes, if you say them to Google it up, talk to each other, they'll remember it for long. You get it? Right? So this is how you can make it every time inquiry based. Now we'll come on the major part of it, the project based. Project based is, it's not like the product is given. Project based means that is you can say articulated into a statement wherein it has to come up finally as a product. Maybe success, maybe failure. Not necessarily every time there will be a success also. Right? So the project-based learning is the teaching method in which students learn by actively engaging in the real world and the meaningful projects. What I told about, whatever our education system is, in that education system, we are to connect it with the industry. Finally, either they'll be settling it up as taking a job, or they'll coming up as their own business, or they are coming up as their startups. Right? या तो family business में चले जाएंगे, या startup में चले जाएंगे, या फिर अपना job करेंगे. But everywhere it is the industry involved, which is dealt by the economy of a country, which is controlled by the share market. Therefore, it is important for all of us to understand the finance system. सिर्फ management को finance समझना है, it's not like that. Everybody shall be aware, shall understand what is the graphical representation of the share market. Whether you enter into the share market or not, I'm talking about understanding. Right? So this is how you can relate it every time that what the things are going on. Right? What is the importance of the information system? If cloud goes down for a day, what will be the impact? Right? So now the core elements for this is, one is the real world problem and the student choices. Like if I'll talk about this second last girl, she's damn interested into the lecture, right? And busy in doing her own work. That means he feels like that whatever is going on, it's none of my business. Correct? When it is none of her business, it comes out to be the student choice, which is not in her choice. So I have to come upon it that what interesting you are doing, I shall be aware of it so that I can enhance my knowledge. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Yes? Right? So this is how the student choice is impacted. Real world problem is everybody is aware. How will you come to know about real world problem? कैसे पता चलेगा? Geopolitics? Yes? Geopolitics talks about your economy. Economy talks about the problems. Problems wants the solutions from the generation. Right? So this is how you need to understand. जब तक आप रोज की रोज न्यूज नहीं पढ़ोगे, you will not be able to connect, you will not be able to educate it well. ऐसी कोई भी चीज नहीं है जो किसी से भी कहीं भी कनेक्ट नहीं हो सकती. I being a core computer science engineer and an educationist, having a knowledge of a finance, having a knowledge of a strategies, having a knowledge of the education system, so this is what I can connect each and everything with my own field. Only thing is, आपको केवल कनेक्ट करना है सोच कर. जितना बात करोगे, जैसे जनरली हम स्टूडेंट थे, मतलब I don't know about anybody else, I'll tell you about me. If I'm not able to understand any of a topic, I'll read it up and I'll start teaching somebody else. जैसे मेरे को अगर अपनी किसी मेल को लिखने में भी डाउट होता है ना, that whether this mail is understood the way I want to convey a message, I'll say my daughter to read the email and let me know what you understood out of it. If she can understand, despite having no information about it, then my message is conveyed well. Right? So you need to be inquisitive, you need to be well-read, and you need to be updated. So only then you would be able to cope up with this PBL system. And you have no other alternative. There is no doubt. Right? So the student-centric and the real world is one thing. Now, whatever is when I talked about, let's say, Bangladesh, what is the solution for Bangladesh right now? Which country may take over? Which country may help? And which country is involved for creating this unrest? Or which party is involved in creating this unrest? This is what the area of research. Right? This research will come out to the students, if I'll give this question, this research will come out to them by going back the line with the history of Bangladesh, starting from baseline, starting from 71, and down to that what Bangladesh was, what happened in 71, what are the economical changes came up into, what parties got activated, and now what would be the result. Right? Now in all this, the technology plays a part. Right? So that research part is very, very important if you are giving them the question. कुछ भी पॉइंट देते हैं तो एक सोर्स जरूर बताइए to cater all the three categories, that you will find the solution in all these sites, you will find the solution at these places. Please go through it. Right? Maximum, I'm not saying that 100% student will come out of it. If you are able to, at this point of time, if you are able to transform your 50% of a class, that's really a great success. You get it? But rest of the 50%, you have to, find out a solution in the same conventional way. We are in somewhere because they also need to come up. We cannot compromise on that 50% also. Right? So can we go further? Now the benefits, which I talked about. Basically, what is happening nowadays? एक basic common sense अगर आप realize करें. Am I wrong in speaking it up if I say that students are missing that basic common sense nowadays? I would say the student, the generation. Basic common sense things, they are missing it up. But it is not like that they do not have. It's just like that it has not been garnished well. Because everything is just a thumb away. They don't apply their brain. Or notes will get, they do not apply their brain, and then they go through. So benefit out of it comes out to be that you can say, creating into the things of a critical thinking. I'll say, one statement I'll give, every problem has a solution. But yes, every person has a capacity to create a problem as well. Correct? So those problems are to be created with that solution which you know shall come back to you with a group of the candidates. And believe me, it will upgrade you all. जो एनर्जी, जो नॉलेज इस जनरेशन के पास है, जो कैपेसिटी इस जनरेशन के पास है, it will uplift us. It is more beneficial to us than to the students. Right? So that critical thinking is required. Collaboration and communication skills. Thanks to this COVID time, basically our generation is lacking a lot of collaboration skills. Abhi, I don't remember where I met a person. I was talking to that person. That person said, "Work from home chal raha hai hamara." Since when? Since I joined the job. Right? Now that child, that I won't say a child, that person is not aware of how to deal with the team, is not aware of what can be learned from the other person, cannot handle the crisis. Yes? So all these things are existing in this generation now. Just because of कुछ ने 10th से शुरू कर दिया, कुछ ने 2nd से शुरू कर दिया, कुछ ने job से शुरू किया, but that human connect is missing. People have a hesitation in going and talking to each other. There is no gender discrimination. Go and talk. Don't judge the person until and unless something you feel like or you sense it up. Without sensing it up, coming into the gender things, I could see that females are sitting to this side, males are sitting to this side. I'm not saying that I'm objecting on it, but this is a basic tendency which comes out to me, and that basic apprehension which is there. So the collaboration and the communication, that is very, very required. Despite having a knowledge, if you are weak in this, you will not be able to survive. Right? So these skills are, because you have given a project, you have made a group, students would be working together, this will be the benefit out of it. And then the authentic learning experience, wherein the real life problems are there, so that would be very easy for them whenever they'll be starting it up, some their business or some job. It would be very, very easy for them to understand what the problem is quickly and implement the solution. So these are the benefits of the project-based learning. Now, how it can be implemented? I'll just close the loop of it. क्या है, क्या फायदा है, implement कैसे करना? ठीक, implementation के लिए you have to design a project. Also, what I talked about for the designing of a project or articulating that project, before articulation, you shall inform. After articulation, you shall inform them what are the sources from where it can be. They can get the information. They can get the data. They can connect with the data so that some case studies can be done, some information can be gathered, and they can reach to the solution. Right? And then, out of all this, the worst part I'll say, wherein most of the people lack the things, after given a project, I'll talk on assignment. Forget about the project. I'll talk at an assignment. We take the assignment from the students. Cross your heart and tell the truth. Do you thoroughly check them? Do you go line by line to check them? We all are teachers, right? I'm not saying your intention is not there. Intention may be there, or might be there, or must be there. But time is also, very, very less for all of us. Right? So, but in all this, when we are implementing, in all this, we are getting that time because you are making a candidate, for example, if I'll say jigsaw, you are making a candidate to explain what that candidate has done. Evaluation is done then and there. You do not have to check it up later. So evaluation and assessment in comparison is very, very easy and very, very beneficial. So it is very, I'll say very time consuming in 1.5 months when you implement it. After that, there is no comfort zone after this. I mean, you'll get so comfortable and so much benefit you will take out of it for your research part, for your assessment part, for your own evaluation, for reviewing other papers. You'll get hell out of the time to do your further studies. More you will study, more you will teach. Right? So this is what is the benefit of the implementation. Now, in conclusion, I'll talk upon that PBL is a student-centric. It is not teacher-centric or a parent-centric. It is a student-centric technique wherein what is the need of a student, what has to be implemented, what is the need of the industry. These all three things are mapped together. So PBL is a student-centric, inquiry-based, wherein we are making a candidate more inquisitive. We are making a candidate more inquisitive to understand the instructions, divide the instruction, or you can say, let's say if I'll give you some task, we'll talk about this workshop, right? If you have to organize this workshop, what will you do? Some task has come to you through VC sir, PVC sir, कि आपको ये workshop organize करनी है. What would be your plan? Think about it. And that concludes my lecture. I would like to listen your steps for organizing this. बताओगे नहीं तो मैं बोलती जाऊंगा. जल्दी बताओ.
If we get a task from the PVC or VCC, then I will first of all think from like where I will organize this occasion and who will be my participants, what will be my themes, what will be my costing. Like overall from the organization point of view, I'll try to organize and try to make it more interesting. My name is Tupur and I'm from Bangladesh.
You didn't feel offended what I speak about. My heart goes with you for your country. Anybody else? Nobody? You have such a great organizer, so nobody is speaking it up.
Conference first week we make a schedule and calculate expenditure which spends on the conference. Then we allot the different works related to conference, like handling the lectures and other work like lunch. Then we coordinated for demanding money to for my authority.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैं एक कमेटी बनाना चाहूँगी जो मेरा साथ देंगे ये वर्कशॉप ऑर्गेनाइज कराने में. उसके बाद हम एक मीटिंग रखेंगे, एक डिस्कशन रखेंगे कि वेन्यू क्या होना चाहिए और शुड बी आवर टॉपिक, हमारा टॉपिक क्या होना चाहिए और कौन लोग जो है हमारे लर्नर्स होंगे, कौन लोग हमारे लिसनर्स होंगे. आफ्टर दैट वी विल मेक डिस्कशन कि ये हमारा टॉपिक हो गया, ये हमारा वेन्यू होगा, ये हमारी टाइमिंग है. उसके बाद हम इनविटेशन कार्ड्स बनाएंगे और इनविटेशन कार्ड्स का मतलब कि वो सबको एड्रेस पे भेजे जाएंगे, सबको बुलाया जाएगा और उसके बाद मीटिंग में ये डिस्कस किया जाएगा कि कौन हमारे चीफ गेस्ट होंगे और कौन कौन आएगा, वेन्यू वगैरह डिसाइड करके.
Anybody wishes to add on? Please.
जब हम कार्ड्स एंड रिव्यू से पहले सबसे पहले हम एक्सपर्ट्स से टाइम पूछेंगे कि उनका कौन सा टाइम है, इस टाइम को फ्री हमें टाइम देंगे. उसके बाद हम
Adding on a point to us. That's what the news goes here. Anybody else? Okay. Adding on to those points or first point first? Adding on. Now, in all this workshop or conference or any other activity which you have to go through, what is the first step now you talked about? You talked about listeners. You talked about committees, right? You talked about expenditure. First thing is the money, expenditure. Workshop organize करने के लिए step 1 comes out to be the expenditure. पैसा ही नहीं है तो कैसी workshop, कैसा listener? So as per the expenditure, you plan the things further down कि किस स्ट्रेंथ की, किस कैपेसिटी की और किस एक्सटेंशन तक मुझे वो वर्कशॉप करनी. Yes, then you will come upon what should be the schedule of it. Right? As per the schedule, you will come up into the printing part. See, before printing, you need the committees because now the work starts. If you are the organizer, right? And being an organizer, आपका काम बजट क्लियर कराना. उसके बाद बाकी सारे काम के लिए आपको committees चाहिए. The printing part, the invitation part, right? Internal hospitality part, exit part, and if some, something has to be given later on, that whatever the things, whatever the university requirements are. So you'll find out the committees and then you start your work. Right? So first thing is always very, very important. This is a very, very small work which I talked about. अगर आप ठीक शुरुआत करते हैं project की, so in a beginning, it is important that for student you give a right start in the first project, because the way you are entering into PBL for the first time, students are also entering into the PBL for the first time. Right? So this is what in the conclusion comes out to be. I'll just read it out. That it is dealing with the ill-structured problems. जो भी problem है, it has to be somewhere. When I'm not talking about a first step, when you are starting it up. Actually, after 6 to 7 months, if I'll say, when you all will be very, very, very comfortable with PBL, students are aware of it, then the problem has to come out to be very, very ill-structured. It has not to be organized. Student has to organize and articulate it into the right structure. Right? Then it deals with the gaps between what is the need of hour, what is the product needed, what you have in hand, and what has to be fulfilled. The roadmap of it, whether top-down or bottom-up, the roadmap of it has to be clearly, clearly drawn, wherein you can identify the problems. Then it deals with the collaboration and inquiry. Any work cannot be done independently. केवल paper independently attempt होता है, and maximum लोग I'll say वो भी collaboration में कर देते हैं. Right? So otherwise, every work needs the collaboration. Whether you are dealing in your home, you are dealing at work, wherever. So it addresses all these points, and all these points are taken care of to make a student a well, socially responsible candidate for the country. If you are not dealing or missing out any of a point, the social responsibility would be missing somewhere. Right? Herein, I conclude my things, and I'll just project on the next slide, sir, please. I'll project on how SGT is going on. We have started up and working very well into the project-based learning and the problem-based learning, wherein students are taking the advantage of all the steps and dealing ahead with what the analysis they would be getting further. Right? So I can say with a high proud that SGT has led into the market by implementing PBL. P2BL, I'll say, problem-based and the project-based. Thank you to all of you, and I'm open for the questions. Any questions?
VC sir was telling that there are prediction methods we are doing. I want to know prediction methods in the computer.
When you talk about that, you have some case studies, right? Your basically market deals with the predictive methods and predictive analysis, right? Wherein you have the data, you have the case studies. The case study system it is. Predictive analysis is totally on the case studies. On the basis of those case studies, you assume something on the basis of logics. Assumption is just like this, that I dreamt about it. On the basis of logic, you assume something and you articulate it into the things or implement into the things that this is what the results possible. Right? When you enter into the possible results, that can be proved by the project-based learning, wherein you are giving the implementation with the prototype, I can say, or exact product, or with the success or failure, whatever it is. right? So predictive analysis totally works on the case study. You can say, as per the case study, you are going with the logical reasons, what would be the possibilities, and with those possibilities, the results.
जो हम प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग अगर यूज करें क्लास में तो उसमें अगर हम टॉपिक जैसे इंजीनियरिंग का स्टूडेंट है कोई, अगर हम उसे मैनेजमेंट का कोई टॉपिक देते हैं तो इसका कोई फर्क पड़ेगा उस चीज में? मतलब टॉपिक अगर हम उससे इररिलेवेंट दे दें.
First thing is no topic is irrelevant. How you are connecting it with that reference, that's on your wisdom. आप अगर किसी भी कैंडिडेट को, I'll go with the same predictive analysis. For the predictive analysis, I'll give you the same example of a Nescafe case study. Nescafe case study is a topic of a management. The strategic management comes out to be in the picture. But for the predictive analysis, you have given the case study and made him to understand what is the analysis done before, right? What that CEO has reached up to, what decisions have been taken, right? Now on those decisions, what are the results? The same management topic you have given to the technical person. Anything else? Anyways, I'll be open for the questions and communication anytime. I'm connected with the lecturer, sir. If anybody wishes to have a further connect, I'm all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very knowledgeable and interactive session. Now we move for lunch, and this timing is 1 to 2. At 2 p.m. we will meet again here only. We will have technical session 2, and our expert is Dr. Renu Batra from KR Mangalam University, Somna, Gurugram. So we will proceed for lunch. यस, ये टेक्निकल सेशन 3 रहेगा सर मैम का. सॉरी, वी हैव सेशन एक्सपर्ट सेशन आउटकम बेस्ड टीचिंग बाय मिस इंदु अग्रवाल, डायरेक्टर टैलेंट ग्रो ग्लोबल चंडीगढ़. So we will meet again at 2 p.m. here only for the technical session 2. Thank you all the participants for wonderful listening and patientful listening. Thank you. Thank you so much.